Making sure that you're still going that 6 rows up from the bottom of the head. You can always pin this in place. That would also make things nice and easy for you. And we're just going to go ahead and continue whip stitching along the top edge all the way to the other side of the beard and then down that side of the beard. Okay, I'll meet you back at the end of that once the beard is attached. Again, do not attach the bottom edge of the beard. Leave that unstitched. Okay, so once the beard is attached, we're just going to go ahead and make a knot on the side and pull it through to another place on the head until that knot pops back in, and then snip away the end. If it's showing at all, just wiggle the needle in and that should tuck it back inside of the head. Right, so the next thing that we need to do is we need to get the mustache. And the mustache is going to align about 3 rows below the eyes. Okay, counting down to the 3 rows down, and then holding the mustache along where you'd like it to be. Go ahead and whip stitch all the way around the mustache, including the bottom part of the mustache. Okay, so if you have your gripper, as I do here, it's going to be super helpful. It is especially hard when there are multiple strands of yarn when you're doing the whip stitching, but that is a helpful tool to have handy. And then just go ahead and go all the way around. I'll meet you back at the end of the mustache. And make a knot again along one of the side stitches, being careful to grab both strands of the yarn so that way the knot goes in properly. And then you'll pull it out through another area of the beard and snip off the excess yarn. Okay, there you have it. His beard and his mustache are now attached. The next thing we're going to do is grab his nose. The first thing you need to do is whip stitch the 2 sides of the nose together. So make sure to flatten the nose along where the thread is on the edge, and then you're going to do whip stitches across. And one more. Should be about 4 whip stitches there. Alright, so once that's done, go ahead and grab Santa. Align the nose between the eyes. The top of the nose is going to go just above the eyes, another row or so. Okay, and then go ahead and whip stitch the nose down. I usually take the stitches towards the underside of the flattened piece, so that way it isn't too flattened to the face. It just attaches it to the face. And continue to whip stitch all the way around the nose and making sure that the nose is covering over just the top of the mustache. I'll meet you back at the end. Do not cut off your thread. We are going to use this to take some tucking stitches to the eyes. So I will meet you back at the end of the nose. So once you finish the nose, take that thread and place it back in and coming out near one of the eyes. Okay, you want it to come as close to the post as possible underneath the backing of the stitch marker, and you're going to wiggle the needle until you can go through the stitch so that it's hidden on the inside. You're going to bring the needle to the other side of the eye and pull, and do the same thing on the other side of the eye, going through the rows stitching so that you don't see the line on top, but it's going to connect the 2 sides together. Okay, and then you're going to go ahead and back to the original eye, and you can do this more than once, depends on how sunken in you want the eyes, but that looks really good to me. So I'm just going to go ahead and have it done that just one time on either eye. And now you can go ahead and fasten off this yarn. So I'm going to bring it up to the top of his head where we're going to be putting the Santa hat. I'm going to grab one of the stitches up there and tie it off with a knot and tucking it in to the inside of the head and cutting away the excess. Okay, now that the nose is done and the eyes have been properly fastened so that they're sunk in just a little bit, we're going to grab the ears. So let's go ahead and thread the yarn on the needle. Okay. You want the braid part of the ear to face forward. We're going to put them to the side of the beard, just slightly below the top. And then we're going to go ahead and whip stitch the ear down to the side. And you can take stitches in the front and back, but you just want to make sure that the ear is nicely fastened and it doesn't seem too loose or like it's coming apart from the head. I'm going to tie it in there nice and tight so his ears stick out to either side, and those will actually help later to hold Santa's hat onto his head. So they kind of have a double purpose. Okay, I'm getting the other side of the ear and going back towards the top. Okay, and then you do have 2 strands of thread, so you can always tie off one, and then when you use the other strand, you can use that to help fasten the ear on as well. But you do need to tie off both strands of the yarn coming away from the ear. Okay, so this one I'm tying off, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the same with the other strand of yarn that's attached to the ear still. And this will help fasten the center of the ear down to the side of the beard. And I'm going to go ahead and tie this off at the top of the head as well. Okay, go ahead and do the same thing for the other ear, and I will meet you back at the end of that. Okay, once you've finished with the ears, we're going to go ahead and grab the eyebrows. So you should have 2 eyebrows. And these will go just above the eyes, so let's just do one together. I'm going to thread my needle. And I did go ahead and just use the grayish shade of yarn for the eyebrows. I didn't want them to be too thick, and oftentimes eyebrows tend to be darker than the rest of a beard. So let's go ahead and we're going to do, I would say starting it at the top, maybe a couple of rows up from the eye, and then have it slanted down. You want to make sure to put a space in between the eyebrow and the beard so that there is skin showing, otherwise it's going to look like part of the beard, which we don't want. And this needs to be whip stitched all the way around, just like we did with the mustache. And again, pins would always help, but I'm just holding it with my finger. I apologize when the camera, when it goes out of the camera like that, guys. I'm so sorry. Okay, here we go. So we're just whip stitching. That's all that we're doing here. I know you can't see it very well, but that's all we're doing is just whip stitching that eyebrow down all the way around. And I'm going to go ahead and let you guys finish that, and I will come back at the end of the eyebrows. So at this point, we've got his head finished. We've got his body here ready to go. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to attach his arms. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. Thanks, guys.